You ever feel like no matter how hard you work, your bank account just doesn't reflect it? Like you're doing everything right, going to work, paying your bills, maybe even saving a little, but somehow you're still stuck in the same place financially? Here's the uncomfortable truth. It's not always about how much you earn. A lot of people in America are making decent money, even good money, and still struggling. Not because they're lazy, not because they're unlucky, but because of a few silent money mistakes that quietly drain their future every single day. And the scary part? Most people don't even realize they're making them. In this video, I'm going to break down 5 of the biggest money mistakes keeping Americans broke, and more importantly, how to fix them fast. If you catch even one of these early, it can literally change your financial life. So, let's get into it. Let's start with something that almost everyone does, but very few people question. Living like your current income is permanent. Think about it. You get a raise, maybe a better job or a bonus, and what happens next? You upgrade your lifestyle. Better apartment, newer car, more subscriptions, more dining out. It feels natural. You worked hard, so you deserve it. And yes, you do deserve to enjoy your money. But here's where it becomes dangerous. When your lifestyle grows at the same speed or faster than your income, you stay financially stuck. It's like running on a treadmill. You're moving, but you're not actually getting anywhere. The real problem isn't spending money. The problem is locking yourself into higher fixed expenses. Because once your rent increases, once you take on a car payment, once you commit to monthly costs, those aren't easy to undo. And if something goes wrong, job loss, medical emergency, economic downturn, you don't have flexibility. That's when people fall into debt, not because of one bad decision, but because they built a life that depends on everything going perfectly. So what's the fix? It's simple, but not easy. You need to create a gap between what you earn and what you spend, and protect that gap aggressively. Every time your income increases, resist the urge to upgrade everything. Instead, lock in a portion of that increase for your future. Save it, invest it, automate it, so you don't even think about it. The goal is to make your lifestyle grow slower than your income. That gap? That's where wealth is built. Not from one big moment, but from consistent, controlled decisions over time. Now let's talk about a mistake that feels small, almost harmless, but quietly drains thousands of dollars every year. Ignoring where your money actually goes. Most people don't track their spending. They have a general idea. They know rent is high, groceries are expensive, but beyond that, it's all a blur. And that's exactly how money slips away. Think about all the small transactions you make in a week. Coffee, food delivery, random online purchases, subscriptions you forgot about. None of them feel significant in the moment. It's just $10 here, $15 there. But when you add it up over a month, it's hundreds. Over a year, it's thousands. And the worst part is, because you never clearly see it, you never feel the urgency to change it. Here's the reality. You can't fix what you don't measure. If you don't know where your money is going, you're not in control of it. You're reacting, not directing. And in a system like that, it's almost impossible to build wealth. The solution is awareness, not restriction, not extreme budgeting, just awareness. Start by tracking every dollar for at least 30 days. Every expense, no matter how small. You don't need complicated tools. A simple app or even a notes app works. The goal is to create visibility. When you actually see your spending patterns, something shifts. You start noticing habits you didn't realize you had. You start questioning purchases you used to make automatically. And from that awareness, better decisions naturally follow. And here's the key. Don't aim for perfection. You're not trying to eliminate all unnecessary spending. You're trying to align your spending with what actually matters to you. If you love eating out, that's fine. But then maybe you cut back on something else that doesn't add as much value to your life. It's about intentional spending, not deprivation. Now let's move to a mistake that keeps people stuck for years, sometimes decades, relying only on one source of income. For most Americans, that's a job, a single paycheck that everything depends on. And on the surface, it feels stable. You have predictable income, maybe benefits, maybe even job security. But in reality, it's one of the most fragile setups you can have. Because the moment that one income stream disappears, everything is at risk. Your bills don't stop, your responsibilities don't pause, and suddenly you're in survival mode. This is why so many people feel constant financial pressure, even if they're earning well. Deep down, they know everything depends on one thing continuing to go right. And in today's world, that's not a safe assumption. Industries change. Companies downsize. Technology replaces roles. It's not personal. It's just how the system works. So how do you fix this? You start building additional streams of income. Not overnight, not all at once, but gradually. It could be a side hustle, freelancing, investing, creating digital products, or even something as simple as monetizing a skill you already have. The goal isn't to immediately replace your main income. It's to reduce your dependence on it. Even an extra few $100s a month can make a huge difference. It gives you breathing room. It gives you confidence. And over time, as that additional income grows, it can turn into something much bigger, something that gives you options. Because at the end of the day, financial freedom isn't just about how much money you make. It's about how many options you have. And options come from diversification, not dependence. Now, here's a mistake that's a little harder to see, but incredibly important. Delaying investing because you feel like you don't have enough money. This is one of the biggest misconceptions out there. People think investing is something you do later, when you're making more, when you have extra money, when everything else is settled. But that delay is incredibly costly. Not because you're missing out on one or two good opportunities, but because you're losing time. And in investing, time is the most powerful factor you have. Every year you wait, you're not just missing out on growth. You're missing out on compound growth. The kind of growth where your money starts generating its own returns, and those returns generate even more returns. It's slow at first, almost invisible, but over time, it becomes massive. The mistake isn't starting small. The mistake is not starting at all. So, the fix is to change your mindset. Stop thinking you need a lot of money to begin. You don't. What you need is consistency. Start with whatever you can. $50, $100, even less. The amount matters less than the habit. Because once you build the habit of investing regularly, increasing the amount becomes much easier over time. And automate it if possible. Take the decision out of your hands. When investing becomes automatic, it stops being something you try to do and becomes something you just do. And finally, let's talk about a mistake that doesn't get enough attention, but quietly limits people's financial growth: not investing in yourself. It sounds simple, maybe even obvious, but most people underestimate how powerful this is. Your income is directly tied to your skills, your knowledge, and your ability to create value. If those things stay the same, your income will likely stay the same too. But if you improve them, if you learn new skills, adapt to changing markets, increase your expertise, you increase your earning potential. The problem is, many people see self-investment as an expense instead of an asset. Courses, books, training, networking, they all cost money or time. And when money is tight, they're often the first things to get cut. But that short-term thinking leads to long-term stagnation. The reality is, the highest return investment you can make is often in yourself. Because unlike external investments, your skills and knowledge move with you. They can open doors, create opportunities, and increase your income in ways that no single stock or asset can guarantee. So start small. Identify one skill that's valuable in your field, or one that interests you and has earning potential. Dedicate time to it consistently. It doesn't have to be hours every day. Even focused effort over time compounds, just like money. Because at the end of the day, your financial life isn't shaped by one big decision. It's shaped by small, repeated choices. The habits you build, the mistakes you correct, the awareness you develop. And the good news is, every single one of these mistakes is fixable. Not overnight, not instantly, but faster than most people think once you actually see them clearly. In the next part, we're going to go even deeper. We'll break down more hidden behaviors, mindset traps, and practical strategies that can accelerate your financial progress. Because once you eliminate what's holding you back, building wealth becomes a lot more straightforward than you might expect. Now, here's where things start to get even more real. Because the next mistakes aren't just about what you do with your money. They're about how you think about it. And if your mindset is off, even the best strategies won't work long term. Let's talk about a mistake that quietly keeps people stuck in cycles of stress and debt. Treating credit like it's extra income. This one is extremely common in the US, and it's easy to fall into. Credit cards. Buy now, pay later options. Easy financing it all feels like freedom. You can get what you want now and deal with it later. No immediate pain, no waiting. But here's the reality. Credit is not income. It's future income borrowed at a cost. Every time you swipe without a clear plan to pay it off in full, you're basically taking money from your future self. And not just the exact amount, you're paying extra in interest. That means future you has to work harder just to maintain the same lifestyle you're enjoying today. And this is where the trap deepens. Minimum payments make everything look manageable. You feel like you're in control because you're not missing payments. But behind the scenes, interest keeps stacking. What started as a small purchase can take months or even years to fully pay off. So how do you fix this without completely cutting off credit? Because credit itself isn't the enemy, misusing it is. The first step is simple. Only use credit for what you can already afford in cash. If the money isn't in your account, the purchase doesn't happen. This single rule eliminates most long-term debt problems immediately. The second step is to always aim to pay your balance in full every month. No exceptions. That way you avoid interest completely and still benefit from rewards, cashback, or credit building. And if you're already in debt, don't ignore it. Face it directly. List out all your balances, interest rates, and minimum payments. Then create a focused plan, either paying off the highest interest first or the smallest balance first for momentum. Progress, even small, changes your mindset from stuck to in control. Now let's move to something that might sound surprising. Focusing too much on saving and not enough on growing. Saving money is important. It gives you security. It protects you from emergencies. But saving alone will not make you wealthy. Here's why. Inflation slowly reduces the value of your money over time. What you can buy with $1,000 today won't be the same in 5 or 10 years. So if your money is just sitting there, not growing, you're actually losing purchasing power. This is where many people get stuck. They feel responsible because they're saving consistently, but they're not progressing financially. It feels safe, but it's not effective long term. The fix is balance. You need both security and growth. Build an emergency fund first, something that can cover a few months of expenses. That's your foundation. Once that's in place, your focus should shift toward growing your money through investments. And this doesn't mean taking extreme risks or trying to get rich overnight. It means consistent, long-term investing in assets that have the potential to grow over time. The key difference is this: saving protects your money, investing multiplies it. Now, here's another mistake that holds people back more than they realize: comparing your financial life to other people. In a world of social media, this is almost unavoidable. You see people driving nicer cars, taking expensive vacations, living in better homes, and it creates pressure. Even if you don't consciously admit it, it influences your decisions. You start spending not based on your goals, but based on what you think you should have by now. But here's the truth most people don't talk about. You don't see the full picture. You don't see the debt behind the lifestyle. You don't see the financial stress, the trade-offs, the risks. You're comparing your reality to someone else's highlight reel. And when you make financial decisions based on comparison, you lose control of your direction. You start chasing an image instead of building a solid foundation. The fix is clarity. You need to define what financial success actually means to you, not what society says, not what social media shows, what you truly value. For some people, it's freedom, having the option to work less or choose different paths. For others, it's stability, never having to worry about bills or emergencies. For some, it's building something long-term for their family. Once you're clear on that, your decisions become easier. Because now, you have a filter. Every expense, every investment, every financial choice either moves you closer to your goal or it doesn't. Now let's talk about a mistake that's often ignored until it's too late: not having a financial buffer. This is different from general savings. This is about having enough margin in your life to handle the unexpected without everything falling apart. Most people operate very close to the edge. Their income covers their expenses, maybe with a little left over, but there's no real cushion. So when something unexpected happens, and it always does, it creates immediate stress. Car repair, medical bill, sudden expense. It doesn't have to be huge. Even a few $100s can disrupt everything if you're not prepared. And when there's no buffer, people turn to the fastest solution available: credit, which pulls them right back into the cycle we talked about earlier. The fix here is to build margin into your financial life intentionally, not just saving randomly, but creating space. That might mean cutting back slightly on non-essential spending, increasing income, or restructuring your budget. The goal is simple: create breathing room. Because financial stability isn't just about numbers, it's about resilience, your ability to handle disruptions without panic. And finally, let's talk about something deeper: avoiding financial education. This is one of the biggest hidden reasons people stay stuck. Think about it. Most people spend years in school learning different subjects, but almost no time learning how money actually works. No one teaches you about investing, taxes, debt management, or wealth building in a practical way. So people enter adulthood and just figure it out as they go. And that usually means learning through mistakes, which can be expensive. The problem isn't lack of intelligence, it's lack of exposure. The fix is to take responsibility for your financial education. Not all at once, not in an overwhelming way, but consistently. Learn the basics of how money flows, how investments work, how to manage risk, how to plan long-term. And the good news is, this has never been easier. There are books, videos, courses, and resources everywhere. The key is to stay consistent and focus on understanding, not just quick tips. Because once you understand the system, you start making better decisions naturally. You stop reacting emotionally and start acting strategically. At this point, you might notice a pattern. None of these fixes are complicated, but they do require awareness, discipline, and consistency. And that's where most people struggle, not because they can't do it, but because they don't stick with it long enough to see results. In the next part, we're going to go even deeper into practical strategies, how to actually structure your money, build momentum, and avoid the traps that keep resetting your progress. Because once you combine the right mindset with the right systems, everything starts to change. Now, this is where everything starts to come together. Because up to this point, we've talked about mistakes and mindset, but if you don't have a clear system for your money, it's very easy to fall right back into old habits. And that's exactly what happens to most people. They get motivated, they make a few changes, maybe even see some progress, and then a few months later, they're right back where they started. Not because they failed, but because they didn't build a structure that supports their goals. So let's talk about a mistake that almost guarantees inconsistency. Managing money without a system. Just reacting to whatever happens. Paying bills when they come in. Saving whatever is left. Spending based on how you feel in the moment. It might seem flexible, but in reality, it creates chaos. Because your money has no direction. And when there's no direction, it naturally flows toward convenience and impulse. The fix is to give every dollar a job before you spend it. Not in a restrictive way, but in a planned, intentional way. At the start of each month, or even each paycheck, decide where your money is going. A simple structure works best. Divide your income into clear categories: essentials, investments, savings, and lifestyle. Essentials are your non-negotiables: rent, food, utilities. Investments are for your future growth. Savings are your safety net, and lifestyle is everything you enjoy. The key here is balance. If you ignore lifestyle completely, you'll burn out. If you ignore investing, you'll stay stuck. The system works when all parts are included intentionally. And here's something important. Automate as much of this as possible. The more decisions you remove, the more consistent you become. Set up automatic transfers for savings and investments. Pay yourself first, before you even see the money. Because if you rely on willpower every month, eventually it will fail. But if the system runs automatically, progress continues even when motivation drops. Now, let's talk about another mistake that quietly slows people down: setting goals that are too vague. Saying things like, "I want to save more," or "I want to be financially stable," or "I want to invest." Those sound good, but they don't create action. Because there's no clarity, no timeline, no measurement. Without specifics, your brain treats the goal like a suggestion, not a priority. The fix is to make your financial goals clear and measurable. Instead of "save more," you say, "I will save $5,000 in the next 6 months." Instead of "invest," you say, "I will invest $200 every month, starting now." Now you have something concrete. You can track it. You can adjust it. You can hold yourself accountable. And here's where it gets powerful. When you hit small, specific goals, it builds momentum. Confidence increases. Discipline becomes easier. And over time, those small wins stack into major progress. Now, here's a mistake that a lot of people don't even realize they're making: ignoring the impact of taxes. In the US, taxes play a huge role in your financial life, but most people only think about them once a year during tax season, and by then, it's too late to make meaningful changes. The reality is, how you earn, save, and invest your money can significantly affect how much you keep. Two people can earn the same income, but end up with very different results based on how they manage taxes. Now, you don't need to become a tax expert overnight, but you do need basic awareness. Understanding things like tax-advantaged accounts, deductions, and long-term versus short-term gains can make a big difference over time. The fix is simple. Start paying attention early. Learn the basics. Use accounts and strategies that legally reduce your tax burden. Because every dollar you don't lose to unnecessary taxes is a dollar you can invest or save. Now let's move into something behavioral, because this is where a lot of progress gets lost. Quitting too early. This is one of the biggest reasons people never see real financial results. They start saving, but after a few months, it feels slow. They start investing, but the market goes down and they panic. They start budgeting, but it feels restrictive, and they stop. And the cycle repeats. The problem isn't the strategy, it's the expectation. People expect fast, visible results in a system that rewards patience and consistency. Building wealth is not a quick process. It's gradual, sometimes even boring. And because of that, it's easy to feel like nothing is happening even when everything is working exactly as it should. The fix is to shift your focus from results to process. Instead of asking, "How much have I made?" ask, "Did I follow my system this month?" Because if the process is right, the results will come. But if you constantly jump from one approach to another, chasing quick wins, you reset your progress every time. Consistency beats intensity in the long run. Always. Now here's another mistake that's subtle but powerful: surrounding yourself with the wrong financial influences. This includes the people you talk to, the content you consume, even the conversations you have daily. If you're constantly around people who normalize overspending, debt, or financial irresponsibility, it becomes your baseline. It starts to feel normal. On the other hand, if you're exposed to people who are intentional with money, who think long-term, who invest and plan, you start to adopt those behaviors naturally. This doesn't mean you need to change your entire social circle overnight, but you do need to be aware of your environment. The fix is to intentionally expose yourself to better financial thinking. That could be through books, podcasts, videos, or communities focused on growth, because your environment shapes your decisions more than you realize. And finally, let's talk about something that ties everything together: not reviewing your financial progress regularly. Most people either avoid looking at their finances or only check when something goes wrong. But without regular review, you're basically flying blind. You don't know if you're improving. You don't know what's working. You don't know what needs to change. The fix is to create a simple monthly review habit. Once a month, sit down and look at your numbers, your income, your expenses, your savings, your investments. Ask yourself a few simple questions. Am I moving closer to my goals? Where did I overspend? What can I improve next month? This doesn't have to take hours. Even 20-30 minutes is enough. But that consistency keeps you aware, and awareness keeps you in control. Because at the end of the day, managing money is not about perfection. It's about attention. The more attention you give it, the better your results become. And as you build these systems, habits, and awareness, something starts to shift. Money stops feeling like a constant source of stress and starts becoming a tool, something you control instead of something that controls you. In the next part, we're going to bring everything together and focus on acceleration, how to move faster, avoid major setbacks, and build a financial life that actually gives you freedom, not just survival. Now, this is where everything connects. Because by this point, you've seen the patterns. The mistakes aren't random. They're habits. They're systems. They're ways of thinking that either move you forward or quietly hold you back. And here's the most important thing to understand. Fixing your finances is not about doing one big thing perfectly. It's about doing a few key things consistently, over and over again, until they become automatic. So let's talk about acceleration. Because once you've eliminated the biggest mistakes, the next step is simple. How do you move forward faster without burning out or taking unnecessary risks? The first shift is this. Start focusing on increasing your income with intention. Earlier, we talked about multiple income streams, but now we go deeper. Instead of randomly trying different things, you want to identify your highest value skill and double down on it. In the U.S. economy, income growth is often tied to specialization. The more valuable and rare your skill set becomes, the more you can earn for the same amount of time. That's leverage. So ask yourself, what skill, if improved, could significantly increase my income? It could be communication, sales, tech skills, management, or something specific to your industry. Then create a plan around it. Not just learning casually, but practicing, applying, and improving consistently. Because when your income increases strategically, not just randomly, it becomes much easier to save, invest, and build wealth faster. Now here's the second shift. Start thinking long-term, even in short-term decisions. Most financial mistakes happen because people optimize for now instead of later. Buying something because it feels good today. Avoiding investing because it feels uncertain today. Ignoring savings because it doesn't feel urgent today. But every decision has a delayed effect. And the people who build real financial stability are the ones who learn to see beyond the immediate moment. Before making a decision, ask a simple question. Will this help or hurt me 6 months from now? A year from now? 5 years from now? That small pause changes everything. Because it interrupts impulse and replaces it with intention. Now, let's talk about risk. Because this is where a lot of people either move too slowly or make big mistakes. Some people avoid all risk. They stay in their comfort zone, never invest aggressively, never try new opportunities, and as a result, their growth is limited. Others do the opposite. They chase high returns, jump into trends, take risks they don't fully understand, and sometimes lose a lot in the process. The goal is not to avoid risk. It's to manage it intelligently. That means building a strong foundation, first emergency savings, stable income, controlled expenses. Then, with that foundation in place, you can take calculated risks, investments, business ideas, new opportunities. Because now, even if something doesn't work out, it doesn't destroy your progress. It becomes a learning experience, not a setback. And that's how you move faster, by taking smart risks from a position of strength. Now here's something that separates people who stay stuck from people who move forward consistently. Taking ownership. Not blaming the economy, not blaming circumstances, not waiting for the perfect situation. Because the truth is, the system isn't perfect. There are challenges, there are inequalities, there are things outside your control, but focusing only on those things keeps you powerless. Progress starts when you shift your focus to what you can control. Your habits, your decisions, your learning, your actions. Even small improvements in these areas compound over time. And eventually, they create results that feel significant. Now, let's bring this all together into something practical. If you had to simplify everything from this video into a few core actions, it would look like this. Spend less than you earn and protect the gap. Track your money so you stay aware and in control. Avoid unnecessary debt and use credit wisely. Invest consistently, even if the amount is small. Build multiple income streams over time. Keep learning and improving your skills. And review your progress regularly. That's it. No complicated formulas. No secret strategies. Just fundamentals, applied consistently. And here's what most people don't realize. These principles are not new. They've always worked. The difference is, most people don't follow them long enough to see the results. Because, in the beginning, the changes feel small, almost insignificant. Saving a little more, spending a little less, investing a small amount. It doesn't feel life-changing. But over time, those small actions start stacking. Your savings grow, your investments compound, your income increases, your stress decreases. And one day, you look back and realize you're no longer stuck. You're no longer living paycheck to paycheck. You have options. You have control. That's the real goal here. Not just having more money, but having more freedom. Freedom to make decisions without constant financial pressure. Freedom to handle unexpected situations without panic. Freedom to choose your path instead of being forced into it. And it all starts with awareness. Recognizing the mistakes, understanding the patterns, and deciding to change them. Because at the end of the day, money is not just about numbers, it's about behavior. And behavior can be changed. So if you've seen yourself in any of these mistakes, that's not a bad thing. That's actually the starting point. Because now you know. And once you know, you can act. Start small if you need to. Fix one habit. Build one system. Make one better decision today. Then do it again tomorrow. And over time, those small decisions will completely change your financial life. That's how people go from stuck to stable to free. And if you stay consistent, there's no reason that can't be you.